Wayne, you will run the backstage team. Milton, you are the liaison between Wayne's backstage team and Garth's front stage team, which includes myself in the booth. To the left and the right of the stage are the machine gun nests, belt-fed M60 Brownings. Now, these babies tend to heat up, so shoot in 3-second bursts. In the event of capture, I will personally distribute cyanide capsules to be placed under the tongue like so. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. When did you turn into a nut bar?
I know I keep saying this every single week, but we don't even need to do the Last Row Awards for 2024 because that guy just wins that guy. Del Preston wins that guy.
Yep.
Just give it to him. We don't even do the category. We don't even need to do the awards. He gets it.
Yeah. Iconic character to me. All-time guy, character, quote machine. I want a movie with Del Preston. I'll take 75 minutes of Del. Not even 90, 75.
We need a prequel.
Yeah.
You need the prequel?
Yeah. I want to see him break into that candy shop.
I love his stories, man. I could listen to that guy talk all day long. So
I don't know if he has stories. He has story. He keeps telling the same
he
one.
has the same story. He has one story.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, welcome back to the Last Row Podcast. My name is Drew. As always, I'm joined by Mr. Badway. If you're new to our show, check out our website, thelastrowpodcast.com. Welcome. You're joining us in the middle of the summer of sequels. Hit us up on all the social channels. Thanks to everybody that's interacted over the last few weeks here. Excited to talk about this one here. I'm excited to talk about this one. It might be a weird episode just because when we talked about Wayne's World 1, it was sort of a weird flow, but I'm excited about this movie. I like it.
It's a challenge to do these goofy movies, right? But this is one of my all-time favorite movies. And you can knock me if you want. Go ahead and bash me, guys. Drew, you can bash me too.
I won't. I can't bash because I like it too.
Go ahead and bash me. But, I grew up with this movie. And do I like it better than the first one? I don't know. Maybe
we shall
not.
see.
We'll see. But it's near and dear to my heart. With a runtime of 1 hour and 35 minutes.
Just right.
Right. Maybe 5.5 minutes.
5 minutes too long?
Too long. I don't know. Maybe.
What would you cut? I don't know.
Who's to say? I don't know. It was a series of sketches. You could cut a sketch. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Comedy, drama.
That's what Google said.
Yeah. Directed by Steven Surgic. What else did he do? Nobody cares.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Don't know.
IMDb 6.2 out of 10. Well, I'll tell you, their writing partners, Bonnie and Terry Turner, don't know if they're brother and sister, don't know if they're married,
Their
don't
husband?
care to look it up. Don't care to look it up. Yeah. But they're SNL writers. They wrote Coneheads. They wrote Wayne's World 1 and 2. Or they wrote Wayne's World 2. Did they write? Yeah, they did write Wayne's World 1.
With Mike Myers, right?
Yeah. Brady Bunch movie. Yeah, with Mike Myers. Brady Bunch movie. Tommy Boy they wrote.
Great movie.
A lot of SNL stuff. Created Third Rock from the Sun.
That's a hit.
It's good stuff, right? Created that 70s show, Drew. Pretty crazy.
Were you a Third Rock guy? I was not. I didn't really watch that show.
I've seen more than 10 episodes. Couldn't tell you what they were about.
People,
but I remember kind of liking it, but who knows? I didn't watch the whole series.
I'm not a sitcom guy, really.
Like I said, I'm doing 6.2 out of 10. Too low. Rotten Tomatoes 60%. Too low. Metacritic 60. Too low.
Too low.
Letterboxd 3.1. Too low.
I think I gave it a 4 for the record.
But I get it. I get it. It's not a real movie. Is it? It's not a real movie.
No,
right?
you said it. It's a collection of sketches, and we'll have to talk about that.
It's a lot of Wayne's World sketches that I happen to enjoy.
Yeah,
that's
me
what
too.
This movie is.
The first one. Yeah. Well, I'll save it.
Yeah. So what's this movie about? Well, glad you asked. After Wayne Campbell. By the way, did you find it weird that Cassandra called him Campbell?
Yes, I did.
I don't think
Campbell.
she called him Campbell in the first one, or I don't recall that being the thing.
It was kind of weird. I also feel like it's weird when your significant other calls you your last name, right?
Yeah, like, or is this I don't know. Is your wife going to call you Rahali? Like,
no, and it's funny because I remember, and I won't say all the details, but when I first started dating my wife, she had a nickname. People called her by her maiden last name, like a shortened version of it.
Yeah.
And I did it once, and she said to me, "Don't call me that." And I was like, you know what? I kind of get it.
Yeah, like if I had a wife, she's not going to call me Badway. Like that's weird. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, she
I
had to
don't
call
know.
you Kevin.
Or like
And
if you have a
that's-
nickname like Smitty, like your friends call you Smitty or Chucky, like you're not going to get called that by your girlfriend,
unless
right?
it's your only name that you've ever been known by. Like
Yeah.
if you go, I don't know,
Yeah.
if Smitty is your name, like you shortened it, but
Yeah,
it's weird.
like if her name's Ron and like everyone calls you Rocky, it's like, hey Rocky, like,
Right, then that's
she's
your
not
name.
gonna. I don't know, but I still think that's weird.
You think they call him Ron? Yeah,
I don't think the wife of Rocky is calling him Rocky.
I think her calling him Campbell stood out to me, and I noticed it as well.
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought
right?
that up.
After Wayne Campbell has a dream in which Jim Morrison tells him to put on a rock concert, he and fellow late night TV star Garth Algar, TV star, that's a stretch, try their hand at promoting. Several musical acts show little interest. No interest, really. They just named.
Yeah.
Who do you have? Van Halen.
Van Halen.
Van Halen. Leaving the pair uncertain about their ability to put on a successful show. Meanwhile, Cassandra, Wayne's rock star girlfriend, has a new manager who is trying to steal her away. And Wayne's antics only make things worse.
I don't know that he was trying to steal her away romantically until
Professionally.
Her father, yeah, professionally, and
He was trying to move her to Los Angeles.
Yes.
That's stealing her away, whether it's romantic or not.
professionally. But what if it was for her own good? And we'll get into
We'll
it.
get into it.
We'll get into it. But there's things
God,
to be
it's-
said.
I love this movie so much. And like I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to like talk about it justice because all I
Yeah.
want to do is remember when.
Remember this? Remember that?
Yeah, that's all I want to do.
You remember this, right?
Yeah.
But you also remember that.
Remember
Well,
that.
I'll make this easy for you. There's only one tagline that I could find, and it says, "You'll laugh again, you'll cry again, you'll hurl again," with 1, 2, and then 3 exclamation
Yeah.
points. What is it, consecutively? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But
I'll take
I
it.
will say, I think Paramount gave them a little bit too much money. And I don't know where this money went because this movie didn't look a certain way. It didn't look
Mhm.
more expensive than the other ones, probably to get Steven Tyler and crew in there or something. I don't know how much they got
Yeah.
paid for this,
Maybe.
or maybe the licensing for the music. This had a $40 million budget, and it was not critically or commercially successful. It returned 48, which it made its money back, but it didn't do what the first one did. I forgot the exact numbers from the first one. I'd have to look it up.
I think
but
it
it
might have
was-
made over. It might have made over 100.
Was it? Let me see. I have this somewhere. I'm sure I have it. We did for the record. This was episode 146 that we did. Yeah, so it was. So the first one had a $20 million budget and it made 183. So this was very disappointing comparatively. But I still have fond memories of this movie, and others did too. You know,
But you know why it didn't do well? It's because they released it during Christmas time.
Yeah,
right?
it's not a Christmas movie.
It's not a Christmas movie. This is a summer movie, or this is like, I don't know, February, March, April type of
Yeah.
movie. It's not a Christmas
Yeah.
movie.
What did I say to you earlier when we were talking? It was something around like it was competing with other movies, and then what came
Schindler's
up in,
List.
Yeah, which is like, I'm sorry, if you're going to see Schindler's List, you're
Yeah.
not going to sit here and watch Wayne's World 2. Like
Yeah.
they're completely different films. But
Pelican Brief was another one.
yeah, there was a
there's
few that were
there's
at that
couple
time.
heavy hitting movies that it just seemed. It's not a winter movie. This is a springtime or summer movie, and it's a strange placement and it set itself up for failure.
Yeah, it says that although it was intended to be a Christmas season blockbuster, the film only was moderately successful and didn't receive box office intake from or positive fan reaction that the first film did. It suffered severely due to competition from other holiday season blockbusters like Mrs. Doubtfire, another banger, Schindler's List, and Pelican Brief. But I don't know, like if you're going to see a movie, yeah, you might go to see Schindler's List, but I don't think that the same people are going to see Wayne's World 2. Like
Yeah.
maybe you are, but it's not an
But-
or to me, it's an and if you're
Yeah,
going to
but-
see.
I think that people who go to the movies around Christmas time or December time, it's like it's a calculated. We got to see this
Yes.
one movie, right?
Right.
They're not going like on a random weekend to go see movies because
true.
why? Because they're going to the mall. They're going go shopping,
That's true.
right?
But you could go to the movies after you go shopping. It's like, oh, let's
Yeah,
go
I
get
don't
some
know.
gifts.
I feel
December
like
10th.
it's not as much of a casual movie watching season. You know,
That's
prove me
fair.
wrong. Give me the data to prove me wrong, people. Give me the data.
No.
I'm in the movie business. I would know. You know what they're doing. You know what people know how people are watching their movies in the wintertime? They're going to Blockbuster.
Yeah, that's true.
They're not going to the
That
theater.
is true.
All right, I would know.
What about, so I will say this, and this is prime territory for MTV Movie and TV Awards, which it was, by the way. So there was 2 nominations on this, and one of these really stood out to me, and I have to tell you about this, but there was 2 categories that it was nominated for. 1994 nominee for the 93 season for Best On-Screen Duo, Mike Myers and Dana Carvey.
Fair.
And then Best Kiss, Dana Carvey and Kim Basinger.
And Mike Myers. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and Mike Myers. Let's start with on-screen duo. So tell me what you think about this. So it obviously did not win, but it was up against Tom Hanks. It obviously did not win.
I don't think it was obvious that it didn't win. But
I'm surprised. I mean, obviously, because I said it was nominated, it was not a winner.
Yeah.
But I will say, so it was Mike Myers, Dana Carvey for on-screen duo. Then you got Philadelphia, Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington.
I don't know if it's appropriate for that to be an on-screen duo.
Yeah, it's a very different on-screen duo. At first, I thought I was thinking about Best Kiss, and I misread the category here. But then you had Sleepless in Seattle, Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, Benny and June, Johnny Depp, Mary Stuart Masterson. And then the winner of the category was Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee for The Fugitive, which we should probably do that on this show. I don't think I've seen that in its entirety.
Let me ask you a question. They weren't on screen together at all in that
They're really
movie.
not.
So what is that?
No.
This is a
They're
Fugazi
chasing each
award.
other.
They're
Yeah, it
chasing
is.
each other. They're in the tunnel that one time
Yeah.
on that scene.
That's it.
What are we doing here, MTV?
Yeah, they should be successful. He had to be successful at like getting him the whole movie, but it's not.
And furthermore, best on-screen duo, Sleepless in Seattle, Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan. Fair.
That's a best couple, though, shouldn't it be?
But
Or
that's
best
fair.
love?
Why aren't they in the best kiss category?
Well,
Was that kiss not steamy?
I don't know why I keep thinking Sleepless in Seattle was Billy Crystal, but that's not it.
Yeah.
What's there's another one with him in there, isn't it?
Forget Paris?
Maybe that's it. I don't
I don't
remember.
To be honest, I've never seen Sleepless in Seattle. I don't know if they
I've never
kiss.
seen it either.
Are they like not? Do they meet? I'm sure they meet. They have to meet.
They're sleepless, I guess.
They're
And
sleepless. I mean, they were up all night. They
the
had to meet.
poster is him in the daytime and her in the nighttime. So maybe there's something with that. I don't know. It's like the lake house with Keanu Reeves.
I'm sure they met and they kissed, and it's weird that they're not in the best kiss category.
Yeah. Maybe it wasn't a good kiss. We say old people kissing.
Maybe they didn't have the heat. I don't want to see Tom Hanks kissing anybody. He's
No,
on that. He's on
the
my list.
Schwarzenegger list.
He's on my list. Yeah.
I never actually saw Philadelphia. I know it's a critically acclaimed movie, but I've
Yeah.
never actually seen it. But let's talk about this kiss for a second. Because there's something in here that stood out to me as I was reading it. I'm like, what? So this is MTV Movie Awards. So Wayne's World 2 did not win again, but it was Dana Carvey and Kim Basinger.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had Ethan Hawke and Winona Ryder for Reality Bites.
Sure.
Then you had Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette for True Romance.
Uh-huh.
The winner was Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson for Indecent Proposal.
Hot.
But
There's
there's
that movie.
But there's another one in here. I never saw that actually, by the way.
You would love it. It's great.
93.
We got to do it.
93 is a good year of movies that I've not really seen. But what stood out to me was Jason James Richter and Kiko from Free Willy.
It's sweet. What are you talking about? It's sweet.
But it doesn't belong. If this isn't the Kids' Choice Awards.
It's like if we wrote the awards, it would be in there.
Yeah, but it is if we would have wrote the awards.
Yeah.
It's like a joke. Like
I like
it's
it.
MTV Awards.
I like
think
it, and it's
that's
also
funny.
sweet, and it should have won.
I did a double take when I read that because I'm like, wait, what? Like, am I remembering this movie wrong? Like, I knew he was in love with Willie, but what?
No, it's like the Storm of the Century being best, on the villain scale. It's like that's something we would do. So I appreciate it.
I just thought it was funny that they did that. Like, did they do it as a joke or did they do it seriously? I'd have to go back and watch.
I'm sure it was a joke, and it should have won.
Who presented that category? Like, who was that? It was probably like Drew Barrymore or something.
Yeah.
In order to talk about this movie, we need to dig up a little bit of tales from IMDb, but we also need to talk about how this is to the first one. Now, we could easily go and say, remember this, remember that. We're going to do that probably a lot more than we want to in this, but it's hard not to. But this movie had a significantly bigger budget. What is the vibe of this thing compared to the first one for you? Now, you said that you always loved this movie growing up. I think you even said it in episode 146 when we did this. I'll put the link in the show notes for everybody that's listening. Did it feel different to you this time?
No, it didn't. I felt very much at home. I felt like I was transported back to 1993 or 1994 when I would wear out the VHS, even though I saw this in the theater. I don't know. I guess I like the first one better. Maybe I changed my tune in that regard because it's such a good movie and a good story. and I appreciate the Benjamin story much more than I did as when I was younger. But I still had just as much, if not more, fun with this movie. And we talk about this kind of thing before, where I compare this type, and they're all in the same, type of timeline: Ghostbusters 2, Home Alone 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. If you are our age, growing up, and you grow up with these comedies, these family movies, or whatever you want to call them, the sequels just hit different. They hit different.
They do.
And I think MTV might have a lot to do with it, because I remember MTV marketed the hell out of this movie. Specifically, like the radio station scene with Mr. Scream and the interview where they're making fun of him, and Drew Barrymore, like the leprechaun scene.
Mm-hmm.
They marketed the hell out of this movie, and I think that's a lot to do with like our nostalgia for it. I don't know. Could be
I agree.
wrong. That's how I feel.
No, I agree with you, and I feel you said it earlier, but I do agree. It very much feels like a collection of Wayne's World skits from SNL, and I don't think that's a bad thing per se. It just feels very different. Like the first one is a complete movie. It feels cover to back, or what is it? Cover to back, like the full story of what they're trying to do. And this one, it definitely felt a little disjointed in that there was just like a lot of random things happening. And I'm not complaining about that. I actually really enjoyed this movie, and it was an easy watch. It was very easy. Like I was thoroughly entertained the whole time. But I do wonder, like the budget was big. They had a lot of money. I don't know what they needed it for, and I feel like this movie just felt like something was off. Now you talked about this, and maybe we need to talk about this to listeners, but I think I don't know if this is Tales from IMDb. I have another one about Rob Lowe, but tell everybody that's listening, and I'll put a link in the show note about the article that you found, because I think it's interesting to talk about how this was made versus maybe what it was gonna be.
Yeah, so I found this from an article from the Hollywood Reporter way back in the day, where the movie that we saw was definitely not the movie that was originally written by Mike Myers, to the point where they were getting ready to go on set. They had to major rewrites from the studio, because Mike Myers wrote this movie about a movie from a British movie from the 40s called Passport to Pimlico, if I'm saying that right. I've never seen this movie. The synopsis is: residents of a part of London declare independence after they discover an old treaty. So that was going to be the movie where Wayne and Garth find this treaty and they kind of emancipate themselves, or if that's probably not the right word.
Secede?
Yeah, possibly secede. I mean, we just did diplomatic immunity last episode on Lethal Weapon 2, so maybe they had diplomatic immunity. I don't know. But who knows? It seemed like a funny premise where Wayne and Garth are, a part of their own nation inside of the United States. And so Mike Myers wrote this whole movie out. I thought he had the green light from the studio. Turns out that I guess they didn't have rights to use the story, and he was unaware of that. Huge miscommunication, or possibly the studio was messing with him because they didn't want to do that movie. So they ended up rewriting it and turning it into this movie with the rock concert and this and that and the other thing. And after some kicking and screaming, Mike Myers eventually went along with it, put his touches on it, but also swore to the earths that he would never work with Paramount again.
They're dead to him.
They're dead to him.
It's funny that you say that, because it may have been a better film, but I think that they wouldn't have been able to market that the way that they were able to market this, because again, look, this is a movie that didn't exist, so I don't know what it would have been, but I feel like there's not the part about marketing this on MTV that you mentioned a few minutes earlier. It's very much part of that being a set of skits, and it doesn't work that way. So I think, and again, I guess it wasn't critically successful or commercially as much, but I do think this thing had replay legs, and probably DVD or whatever, VHS, DVD, HBO, aftermarket kind of stuff.
Yeah, and like I said before, I mean, it buried itself, releasing itself in December. If this was released in April, maybe they would have made an extra 10, 20, $30 million. Who knows? Could have been a hit.
Yeah.
If they hadn't rushed it, the first one was out in 92. This one's out Christmas 93. What if we made it spring 94? Probably would have been more successful.
You don't do yourselves favors when you do that. And
no.
I saw something else too that said that Rob Lowe was in talks to come back as well, but he wasn't gonna reprise his role as Benjamin. Apparently, he was gonna be some character named Philip.
I'm fine with
And
that, by the way. I'm fine with
I
having
like
the
that.
same guy being a different guy. Like in a movie like this,
Yes.
I'm okay with that.
It's different than Robert Downey Jr. coming back and being Doctor Doom, and it's
Yeah.
like, what? Like this is, it's kind of funny if they did it
It
that
is,
way.
yeah.
But I guess I saw that Lowe was at a table read and it went so bad that his manager pulled him out of the movie, and then they hired Christopher Walken, and then the character's name was changed. But like, what's funny to me is it's like, was he going to be the manager of Cassandra? Like,
yeah. Was he going to do the
same
same thing that Benjamin did? Like that would be
Just-
funny to me.
that
if he's
would be
the
funny
same
as hell.
slime ball, but just a
Yes,
different guy.
different
like that's
guy.
funny to me.
Give him a different haircut, make
Yeah.
it the same guy. It
Yeah.
would look. I forgot what movie we watched recently where they did that, where they had the same person played. It was a Problem Child 2. Remember?
Yeah.
It was the lady, was the nurse.
Mhm.
So it's the
Yeah.
opposite, sort of not scumbag. But I thought that would be funny if Rob Lowe, and I think this movie, we'll talk about Walken in a second, but I kind of missed Rob Lowe in this movie when I watched it because I really
Yeah.
liked him so much in the first one. I really liked the character of Benjamin. I thought he was really good. And Bobby was more of a shark, I feel, if that
'cause-
makes any sense.
Yeah, Benjamin pretended to be their friend. Was
Yeah.
more youthful, buddy with him, and they liked him for the majority of the movie until they caught on late that he was a scumbag. Where Wayne kind of knew right away that Bobby was a scumbag, or I mean, really, Wayne was kind of a worse person. He was jealous. Bobby was just trying to get business done.
I
right?
agree. I mean, we said that a little bit in the first one
Yeah.
too, but I want to talk about Bobby in a second, but
Okay,
let's
so-
talk about maybe some of the things, and you brought up this before we started, and maybe we could talk about the first one versus the second one throughout some of these, but what about their new studio / apartment? This place, was it like a doll factory or something?
Yeah, the abandoned doll factory.
Yeah, which is like typically a creepy thing, but I kind of
Yeah.
like this place. It was pretty sweet.
Man, when I saw this as a kid, this is what I strived for. This
Yeah.
is what I worked hard in school for, is to
Yeah.
get this apartment, right? You grow up one day, you can get this apartment in the doll
Yeah.
factory, right? Where you can just play hockey in the middle of your living room. I'd
That
put
was the
basketball hoops
best
up personally.
part.
I would put hoops up instead of hockey, but that's me. I loved it. But I have questions. Like, do they sleep in this? Is it all one big room?
I think it is.
It didn't seem like there were any walls. So, like, do he and Garth sleep in the same room, basically?
if you sleep in the whole place, I guess it is your
Yeah.
room. Like, you
It
just
does-
share a room.
Does Wayne have Cassandra over, for some sleepovers? Like, is that weird for Garth?
What's going on there? Well, Garth's out at that time. They put
Does
the
Garth like
sock
put
on
the,
the door.
put the earphones on? I don't know. I just think it's weird that they sleep in the same room. Basically, I don't know.
This place reminded me of Josh Baskin, his apartment in Big, and
Very
I
much
loved
so.
it. Like,
Yeah.
the arcade machines. Wayne didn't have that kind of money, I guess, but I thought that was cool. And they also filmed the show here too, didn't they? It was the same.
Yeah, they had
place.
the
It was-
set.
Everything was there.
Yeah, they had the set look like a basement. Yeah, which they could have upgraded, but they decided to do the old school, which I appreciate.
They need to keep it the same, but
Yeah.
I really like this place. So I think it's a no-brainer to say that this was much better than his mom's basement.
Oh yeah, 100%.
What about the Aerosmith concert? And
Mhm.
what's a better band cameo, Alice Cooper or Aerosmith, to you personally?
You would think most people would say Aerosmith, but you're asking me, and I'm
Yeah.
saying Alice Cooper strictly
Me
for
too.
the skeleton in the background.
Yes, me
Like-
too.
Like, so in what world does Alice Cooper like? I guess he has better stage presence than Aerosmith.
Yeah.
I guess he's more of a showman, right?
He is a showman.
You go to Aerosmith. I would assume Aerosmith would have more bells and whistles, but they didn't. They got Joe Perry with his shirt off. They got Steven Tyler with his red leather pants, and that's what you get, right? I don't know. I've never liked Like I guess
I was never an
can't say-
Aerosmith guy.
I can't say I never liked Aerosmith, but I could take or leave them. Put it that way.
That's how I feel, and I was not an Aerosmith guy growing up. I'm not against them. I think they have some good
Mm.
songs, but like when we were looking this up, I'm like, man, how long have they been around? Like they formed in 1970, and I know
Yeah.
we're old guys
Oof.
right now,
Yeah.
but that made me
Classic rock.
feel it's
Like,
weird.
They're palling around with Led Zeppelin and the Rolling
Right.
Stones,
I was like,
right?
it's really weird to think about them being around
Yeah.
that long. And
Mhm.
I don't know, it's like Steven Tyler just looks like a weirdo to me. Like he always looked weird. And
Yeah.
we've talked about this on the show before, but Revolution X, that rail shooter,
Yeah.
it's like, why did that even exist?
I
Why
don't
did
know.
that even
I don't know.
exist?
I appreciate them branching out. I don't know.
Did
But
they do that, or did somebody else say, hey, we're gonna make a video game about you?
I think Steven Tyler wanted to put himself in a video game. I think.
You think so?
Hey, I want the kids playing the video game she stage. No, I may have said this on the show before, but like similar to Aerosmith, I feel the same way about the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Like you can.
I just like they just annoy me for some reason, the same way Aerosmith does, and it's because of Steven Tyler. It's just there's a grading factor where it's like, all right, I'm done with this song.
So is it Flea or Anthony Kiedis for you?
It's Anthony Kiedis. It's Anthony Kiedis. So Anthony Kiedis, like his lyrics don't make sense half the time. So,
we have some good friends that are big Chili Pepper fans. I could take them or leave them. Like I don't hate them.
Each their own. Yeah, I don't really hate them, but they
you're not gonna choose them.
You put them on enough, and they start to annoy me. Put it that way.
So let me tell you this. Let me ask you this. I'm gonna hand you backstage passes to Aerosmith or Red Hot Chili Peppers or whatever, either one of those bands, right? I'm gonna give that to you, but I'm gonna say you to go to Philadelphia to go see them. Are you just gonna be like, no thanks? Are you gonna give that back? Or are you gonna?
I'll leave before the encore to beat the traffic.
Because it's like I kind of feel the same. Where I'm like,
you
can keep those tickets. Okay, like
it's like,
give them to somebody else. I would appreciate that more.
What's Aerosmith's closer? Is it Walk This Way? Is it you can't leave on a ballad, can you?
No. That's maybe an encore song.
I think it's probably Walk This Way, or maybe it's Dude Looks Like a Lady, or like they did in this song, which I think was the encore in the movie.
I don't know.
But yeah, if the Chili Peppers are doing I don't know, like they can't do Under the Bridge. Under the Bridge is their biggest hit, but like you can't end with Under the Bridge. I'll beat the traffic. I don't know.
Do you even go?
If they're doing Scar Tissue to end the show, like I'm just gonna duck out. It's fine.
You know, I heard this song before. I heard it on the radio. That's
right.
Cool.
Give It Away. If they're doing Give It Away, like, you know what? I'm fine. I don't need this.
How many times have I heard this song in my life that I don't need to hear it live?
Well, out of the parking lot, I'll turn on Weird Al and I'll do the Bedrock Anthem version. And I'll get more enjoyment out of that.
Like how offended if you're a huge fan, right? We're just like shitting all over people's experience here. What about, I don't know, we talked a little bit about this on the show before, I guess, but speaking of concert experiences, crazy. I'll start this, but we were just recently at Hershey Park. I was there with you and some others, and we leave, and I saw this dude. Speaking of big bands, we were in like or like a restaurant, one of the restaurants there or something, and I see some guy carrying like a cardboard cutout of Dave Grohl, and I'm like, why the hell has this guy got this at Hershey Park? And then you left before me. And you're like, hey, by the way, Foo Fighters are playing outside right now in the stadium.
Literally playing on an outdoor concert right next door. Yeah.
I had no idea. So I guess I could say I heard the Foo Fighters now.
Yeah. We were at a Foo Fighters concert. Yeah, we were there.
I like them fine, but like I also am not like a huge fan. Like I know some of their hits, but
I'll disagree with you there. I like Foo Fighters.
I like them. I
mean, they're not my top 10 or anything, but I'm a fan of what they do. And I don't hate Aerosmith and Red Hot Chili Peppers, but
I'm just kidding.
they're not my top 50. That's all.
It's not for you, and they're not for me either. I can respect them, but they're not for me. I don't know. What's the best concert you ever went to?
Oh, geez, freaking who knows?
You've been to a few good ones too, at least.
Yeah, that's hard to say.
Well, what about one of your best?
I went to Mars Volta recently. That was the last concert I was at.
Did they play for like 6 hours straight?
No, it was a tight maybe 2.5, 3 hours. It was really good. Shout out listener JJ. He was with me. I did Avenged Sevenfold and Coheed and Cambria way back in the day.
That was probably fun.
Very, very good. And we've both seen this band thrice 100 times. I don't know if the people listening know who Thrice is. They're not super popular, but they get around. How about brand new New Year's Eve?
In Long Island, the House of Blues. That was a great one. So
with the last was it the last fiance at the time?
Yeah, we weren't married at the time. That was a House of Blues. That place they shut that place down like literally probably the week after. The concert was so good. They're like, we can't have any others here anymore. That was great. One of my favorite memories it's probably favorite or least favorite. I don't know if we told this story on the show before, but when we went to see the band Thrice that you were talking about, and we were in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and it was prime like. Well, I won't say anything, but it was just a weird place. Chameleon Club in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Shout out to anybody that's ever been there.
Yep.
It was a cool place. It was a cool place. So we saw them 2 times there, I think. The first time that we saw them, and this was right before they went on hiatus, and we didn't know that. But man, there was this guy in the crowd. I mean, talk about like instant throw up. He had really long hair, but it was so hot that day. This guy was sweating his ass off. His hair was dripping wet, and he kept whipping his hair back.
Oh,
and we were getting
right
sprayed.
behind him.
We were getting sprayed. It was so gross. And then simultaneously, there was this other guy that was like 5'2", and he was like the toughest guy in the world. He had one of those like tank tops on, and he pulled it over his head like Cornholio, and he kept yelling that nobody was moshing for animals as leaders, I think. And he was like super pissed because he kept saying nobody moved.
Nobody moved.
What a waste.
What a waste.
And he was trying to like fight people because he was mad that people weren't moshing. And it's like, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, man.
Yeah. For those that don't know, Animals as Leaders is a instrumental band that does prog metal that is not conducive to mosh pitting. So I don't know what the guy was trying to mosh against, but it wasn't going to work.
People were in awe of their technicality is what it was. Right? Like you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they're playing this. It was not to like kill each other. And look, I'm not against moshing. Like I've done it myself or whatever, right? Like it's fun. But man, that guy was an idiot. Like, and he was trying to like straight up just antagonize people. It wasn't fun, man. It's not going to happen.
I have two other memories. You were there for both of them. In our hometown, Croc Rock, which doesn't exist anymore
because place of all time.
Because the owner was a scumbag. One, we went to see Kill Switch and Every Time I Die and Dillinger Escape Plan. But before it was like a battle of the bands, which lasted like 17 hours. So by the time the quote unquote real bands went on stage, like we were done. Like we were done. We were drained. Like they were great.
I didn't want to see him anymore.
So out of energy. And the second is this other band, Silent Civilian, which is a lesser known band, good metal band. They're from California and just no one was there. It was us.
Chris, if you're listening, you know.
Yeah. And one dude who was dancing his heart out, who would have been correct to say nobody moved. What a waste. Because they weren't playing well. They were drunk and it just did not sound good at all. Like if you want to hear them, just pop on the CD because you did not get the experience at the concert. They
were late as hell too. Remember, they were like 2 hours late or something.
They were late.
There was probably 10 of us there, which they
probably didn't want to go on. They probably didn't want to go on because nobody was there,
and nobody moved. But
nobody moved.
I thought you were going to talk about the time that we saw Steel Panther. That guy was also there with his girlfriend who was like 8 feet tall.
Yeah,
and my friend, a mutual friend of ours, was there. Right. We're standing there, and our friend's pretty tall. He's like probably 6'2", 6'3", or whatever. This guy's girlfriend was, she was probably 7 feet tall.
8 feet tall, something like that.
It was like the girl from Deuce Bigelow, like that tall. And
that's a huge bitch.
It's so funny because what was funny was my friend standing there, and this girl just comes and literally like walks through the crowd and just posts up like right in front of him specifically.
Right in front of his face.
And our friend was like, dude, are you serious? You're just going to post up like that? And I don't know why, but I just lost it. Yeah. I laugh about that to this day because it was so funny.
Just imagine,
she stood right in front of him.
Yeah, imagine being in line for something and someone just cuts right in front of you.
That's
kind of what it was. Like you're watching the show and all of a sudden you're watching the back of her head.
Yeah, and it was, we waited the entire time. And we weren't like at the front. We weren't at the back. We were in the middle.
It was middle.
But it was so... They walked all the way through the crowd, and I'm saying like just cut right in front of him, like against his face, and it was funny.
You're watching the back of her head.
It was so funny. I don't mean to. So we talk about concert etiquette. Don't do that. That's not it. Don't do that. But I do want to ask you about Wayne and Garth. So you sort of implied that maybe the end was, maybe that was the encore, or maybe that
looks
was
like
the
a
last
lady.
song.
It could have been an encore because otherwise they left early, right?
Yeah, like I was saying, they're walking through the backstage. Do you watch it from backstage? And what's it like to be backstage? Like, what is a backstage pass really?
I've never been, but probably not as good as you would hope it would be, right?
I mean,
I think they got the experience, right? They were lucky enough to run into Aerosmith. We're Not Worthy, all that stuff. But just because you're backstage, just because you have the pass, doesn't mean you get all access, right?
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Well, there's backstage, and then there's backstage,
then there's the dressing room, right?
Right.
Or the lounge, or the lounge that the band is hanging out in, or whatever, right? There's two different things. Yeah. And just because you have the pass, it allows you access to step foot backstage, but how far backstage you get is dependent on the bouncer, right?
That's
So,
true.
A lot of people's girlfriends are out there, Drew.
It is. That's a brutal.
You don't
quote,
always.
but
You
it's
don't
true.
always get to go through.
I like that it came full circle with Bobby at the end too.
Yeah.
When Chris Farley said it to him,
That's my girlfriend out there.
it wasn't really his girlfriend, or was it his fiance?
Well, his
She just
fiance,
left the
really. I
wedding.
guess his fiance, really.
I don't know. That's a good segue. Let's talk about Cassandra. What do you think of her in this movie versus the second one? And do you think it's believable that she's still with Wayne?
No, because he's a jerk, right? Not because
we
he's
established
a
that
goof.
in the first one, right?
You know, she could be attracted to his goofy charm, but he's a jerk. Like, super jealous, right?
He was
Twice now that he basically ruined his relationship with her because of jealousy. She overlooked it in the end both times. Not the best boyfriend.
When you're hanging out on a telephone pole taking pictures of your girlfriend at a business lunch, you kind of got a problem. And I would say she seems like the coolest girl alive and way too good for him. And we've said it. We said it in the first one. He was a jerk. He doesn't deserve her, I don't think. And, you know, I talk about her for a second. I thought it was interesting because in the first one, she's hanging out in Aurora, Illinois. All these guys, and when I say guys, I mean suitors and also business people, try to swoop her up and take her out. So is she the talent of Crucial Taunt? Or, like we said it in the first one, I think we called them session musicians. But I think she's obviously the front woman of this band. She's got a lot of charisma. And it seems like people notice that and they want her to move to LA. Maybe they're right to do that. I don't know. Is that wrong that they're trying to do that? They're trying to build up her career.
Some would call it selling out, right? But is selling out such a bad thing, right?
I mean,
if you haven't sold one thing, is it a bad thing to sell out total, right?
Yeah, she didn't sell anything yet, right?
Yeah.
I guess you're right about that.
Like is Crucial Taunt moving the needle? I don't know.
Maybe they're not going to be successful, and she has the talent.
I bet it happens, and we don't even know. Like, do you think Avril Lavigne had a band?
Maybe
before we knew her as Avril Lavigne.
Maybe,
you know,
that's a good cat.
I think famously, you could look at No Doubt, right,
yeah.
and say, you know, Gwen Stefani grew up with her bandmates, or like they formed, and she didn't, you know, get taken by the system. She eventually, you know, kicked them to the curb, went solo, and
they took her to LA.
Clearly the right thing to do. She got even more popular, even though No Doubt's a very awesome band. It's probably the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, Bobby took her to LA. I mean, that's what I can say.
Especially when there's a female lead singer, for whatever reason, like they try to pull the female lead away to go solo.
Yeah,
like even look at even the girl bands. Like look at Beyonce. Beyonce, you can't hold Beyonce down with Destiny's Child. She's got to be her own. She's got to be Beyonce.
Yeah.
Should Beyonce have stayed Destiny's Child? Hell no. She's an icon now.
I guess that is Cassandra. That's Cassandra. And I don't know, I guess, but it's also, Wayne has this like inferiority complex. You mentioned he's jealous. I mean, he broke up with her because he was jealous.
Yeah. That's total defense mechanism, right? You can't break up with me. I broke up with you first. Even though she has no intentions of breaking up with him. You
know what I say to that? What an idiot.
And a loser.
And a loser.
It's a loser's mentality.
As Bobby would say.
Yeah.
So I agree. This one was interesting too, because we'll come back to her in a second, but we'll talk about the hangout places. So in the first one, you had the Gasworks, which we talked about was like a metal club that wasn't really metal. And I think I thought about this since we did our first episode. I feel like, and I'm not saying that, you know, Alice Cooper is obviously metal, but it's a lot of the other music in the movie wasn't metal in a traditional sense. I feel like it was rock disguised as oh, it's metal, heavy metal. And I think it's because it's a mainstream movie and they're not going to be playing like random metal or deep cut metal bands in a mainstream movie that they're trying to market to the vast audiences, especially if that would turn people off. But you had the Gasworks, the metal club. And then in this one, you got Comrades and the Toolbox. Which place would you rather hang out and why?
The Toolbox. No, Comrades looks like a great place to hang out. I'm all for it, man.
I thought it was hilarious. They had all the like the Soviet Union, like Lenin statues and stuff.
Like I don't know, like maybe it's disrespectful. I think it's hilarious. I don't know. I kind of love it. I love that theme, even though I have no ties to Russia. I don't
understand why they did that. It was it was very funny because I mean it was at the height of the Soviet Union in '92 or whatever the hell they were filming it. It was cracking me up.
Yeah, not only did they have the party there, but where Cassandra and Wayne broke up, they were having lunch there.
Yeah, it was
They
a
were having
lunch
at
place
Conrad's too. Yeah, go there any time of the day. It's great. You can't go to the Gasworks for lunch or the Toolbox.
That's like going to a strip club for lunch. Like you can't. But they had a good buffet.
But let me ask you this: did you find? No, I don't know anything about the gay club culture or anything like that. But did you find it odd that the place was packed and bumping in the middle of the afternoon?
I don't know. It was weird.
That seems odd to me. Like any club, let alone a gay club, is like I think it was like popping, and it was like 2 p.m.
Wasn't
right?
it? Wasn't that the same in the Blue Oyster when you watch Police Academy? I think it was a similar situation. It was like the middle of the day. Same thing.
It's like, is that place really packed at 2 p.m.?
I think it's a good call because I don't know.
I don't think any club is open at 2 p.m.
There was not a free space in there too. It was completely
it was
packed,
completely packed,
which was pretty funny.
A lot of meat, meat in that freezer, baby.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was funny, and obviously the YMCA scene is iconic. It's like a 90s iconic scene, and you could see them setting it up from a mile away too, especially with the way that they were dressed up and they had them all together. But I thought just the name, the Toolbox was just freaking hilarious.
Let me ask you this. Did Bobby walk away because he lost them? He didn't recognize them as the village people on stage? Or did he walk away because, oh, well, they're up there, I can't get them?
I can't go in there. It looked like he didn't notice them.
But I feel like he had to know. Like he was chasing. He was chasing a construction worker.
even the idea of him chasing Wayne, what was he going to do if he got him?
I think it's you catch him and it's like then he's guilty. Then he's spying. It's not like you're gonna punch. I mean, he might have punched him, but then it's like, all right, he can't deny it because he caught you red-handed, and if he doesn't catch him, then he can deny it all day.
I don't know. Even if he did, what was he gonna do? It's like you talk about your dog chasing the squirrels. Like once he gets him, what's he gonna do? Like I got you.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. It's the same thing. It's like he chased him through an alley and he ran in that I don't know the 90s outfit. But it's like, what's Bobby gonna? Bobby doesn't even know him, and I guess he's just. You're right. He's gonna prove that this guy's a loser.
To catch him red-handed, there's no denying that I spied on you.
Yeah, but it was funny because when Cassandra finally found out, she was like shocked. Meanwhile, she kind of knew it was him up there, so it was a little weird.
She assumed, but again, without proof, what do you do? But he admitted he should never have admitted it.
Let's talk about Bobby because I want to compare him to Rob Lowe, and we talked about it in the beginning. But I liked Rob Lowe a lot. I feel like Bobby in my head was in this movie a lot more than I remembered, he was in a lot less than I remembered. Excuse me, but I feel like I wish he was in it more. And I like Christopher Walken, and I thought he was good, but I thought he was like, I'll tell you this, Wayne completely underestimated him. And I don't know if that says something bad about Rob Lowe. Like Rob Lowe's character was sort of like a small time TV executive. Like he was still big time compared to Wayne, but this guy's like big leagues. Like this guy is a professional record guy. And I think Wayne underestimated him. Like this guy was not messing around. He was not effing around. Like he was in it. He's like, I'm going to take this girl to LA and you're getting the hell out of the way.
Right. But like, who is he to stand in her way?
Right.
Bobby is a good guy for all I'm concerned.
He was
trying to help her career. And hit on her is like an extra benefit that she can absolutely turn him down. It's not like he's a classically handsome hotshot guy. He's just a guy with a job that can help her career, right? He's not gonna casting couch her, right? She wouldn't go for that anyway. She's not the type to go for that.
I didn't think that he was romantically interested in her, honestly, until the father proposed the marriage, because he was having lunch with her and like I guess he was getting friendly, but he didn't seem like Rob Lowe, where Rob Lowe played it gentlemanly. He didn't do anything. But I didn't get that vibe from Bobby.
Well, because Rob Lowe is always trying to steal your girl. That's why you're always skeptical of
just
Rob
by
Lowe.
Existing. Rob Lowe is going to steal your girl.
But no, when they had that lunch that Wayne was spying on, he gave her a business card with the personal number written in. That's always like, come on, we know what that move is. That's when he started to get interested. And then when she was on Leno, he basically told her he loved her, and she didn't hear it. That's he was going that was plan B was in effect.
I agree. Was he hired by Frankie Sharp, or is he like an independent contractor? Like, is he part? Because Sharp was the guy at the end of the last one, right? Because he was in the limo or something.
Yes.
So does he work for him? Like, what was the relationship?
He might be a part of it. I don't know. Or it could be like an agent thing where he has a good relationship with the label, that kind of thing. I don't know. Producer for the label. Who knows?
Is it like a Chris Brander thing where he's working with Anna Faris's character? Like he's got to get the best out of her, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. That. Yeah, I think so.
I do like how Rob Lowe tried to be friends with them, and Bobby didn't even try. Like he wasn't messing around. He instantly, I think you said this to me when we were talking earlier, when Wayne talks about like, oh, you should do Waynestock, and he's like, yeah, let's not commit to that.
Yeah, maybe later. Yeah, maybe later. We'll see. We got big projects lined up. Maybe no, don't commit.
He's trying to, and look, I guess it's like when you date a girl or a guy or whoever, right? And your parents know that they're terrible for you, and they kind of secretly hope you break up. This guy was maybe trying to help her get to bigger and better things. Now, I'm not saying that Wayne wasn't true love here, but if you look at it on paper, Wayne's kind of a loser, right? I mean, he's not a good guy. He's jealous. He's a jerk. We've talked about this. I mean, she likes him, but I don't know that it's the right match long term. And are they really going to be together forever? Maybe they will. I don't know, but I don't think it is. And I'm with Bobby on this one, I think. Maybe it makes sense to, we villain scaled Rob Lowe's character without going into the detail for tons of hours here. Maybe we should villain scale Bobby just for the honors of it, for the ceremony of it.
Let's get him.
We're
talking about
him. Scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good time. So if you're new to the show, we have a villain scale on the Last Row podcast. It's 4 categories, 1 through 5 each, with a score out of 20. Let's start with his look or style, Badway. What do you think of him?
I don't know if you're into that sort of thing, right? He's well dressed.
The Omen Part 2 or whatever the hell he was in.
I don't know.
What is it?
He's kind of
it's a
the
weird
prophecy.
Looking dude.
The prophecy.
Yeah, the prophecy.
Yeah,
that's
the
prophecy, not the Omen.
Is the prophecy an omen also?
Isn't
the prophecy ominous? It's ominous.
It is. A prophecy could be. Is
omen derivative of ominous, or am I just making that up?
No, omen is like a sign, right? But the prophecy. Yeah. So the omen is a precursor to the prophecy, right? Yes. I guess.
Yeah,
is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so. No, yeah, but he's the type of guy, 90s sports coat, silk shirt, no tie,
He's a record producer kind of looking guy, right?
Yeah. Slick back hair,
It's not pushback.
Dude, is it weird that Walken's playing a normal guy?
He's supposed to be playing a weirdo, and he's not in this. He's playing a normal guy, and I don't think he ever really does.
Yeah.
It is
so
weird.
He doesn't look normal to me in a regular suit. Hey, I'm a record producer.
No.
I think I'm giving him a 1 because I don't like his style.
He didn't even talk much. I agree with that. Let's go 1. He didn't have a style.
I don't like his haircut. I don't like his suit. I don't think of him as a guy that's trying to steal your girl.
No.
Like that's just I liked him in the movie. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just don't he's no Benjamin, put it that way.
As far as
sex appeal and look and style go.
And for the record, Benjamin had a 5 for his style. So I'll give you the comparison as we go through this. Okay, what about his hideout and his lair? Did he even have one in this? We didn't even see it, I don't think.
We never saw him. Did we see his car?
Office?
I think we saw his car one time.
Yeah, he had a sweet car. That was pretty nice.
He didn't have an office. I'm sure he has a nice swanky office.
Maybe the car is for his liquor style, I guess, because it's accessory.
Back in LA.
Should he not have had a ponytail? They gave it to Frankie Sharp, but he should have had one. I think he should have had one.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like a ponytail. Well, he had a slick back hair though, but it wasn't as slick. It wasn't as slicked back as Benjamin's though.
No, Benjamin's was the helmet. Yeah. He had Lego hair, is what he had.
Yeah, was Walken's. It was almost like it didn't seem wet though. It wasn't.
It was puffed back, slick back. I guess.
Back. Yeah,
but you're right. He didn't have a place of operations. They showed his office, I guess. This is a 1 2
the studio. Like I'm not impressed.
You think give him a 1, I think.
Yeah, I think he's getting a 1.
It's pretty bad. And so for the record, Benjamin had a 3, which I think we came in, for the record, if you guys go back and listen to episode 146, I think we came in we were like Wayne and Garth, where we came in thinking like, oh, Benjamin's got this sweet apartment. We're like, we're like, wait, is this just a regular apartment?
It's just a regular apartment. It's not that special.
So we gave him a 3. But I think he's 1 for look and style, 1 for hideout and lair. Now, the plan is where it could get interesting. What's your take on this?
Yeah, his plan's a 5 because clearly Cassandra's a star and he's got to get her to Hollywood. He's got to get her to L.A. to get that
But
sweet record deal.
He didn't succeed at it, though.
And if we're honest, Crucial Taunt, not super talented. It's all, the talent's all Cassandra. So let's get some better musicians around her. Can we do that?
So
and
you're behind his plan.
Yeah. And I think the plan of plan B, I mean, plan A is clearly get her successful and get a percentage off of that. That's a great plan A. But plan B is maybe she'll sleep with me. It turned into almost marrying her when her dad got a wind of all that money. So I think it's a 5. We got to give him credit for,
He didn't succeed. Does he lose a point because he failed?
No villain succeeds.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. I think that's fair.
I mean, I can be talked down to a 4, but I'm saying 5.
I think let's go with it. Let's go with a 5 because I think he should have. I don't know, but for the record, not many people have a 5 for a plan. I think Beetlejuice had a plan, or Dusty Dinkelman did. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's
is Dinkelman so much different than Walken?
They're kind of the same, I guess. So let's go with a 5.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. What about his henchman? Because is he a henchman of Frankie Sharp? Like he
kind
doesn't
of,
have henchmen.
Kind of a henchman, but I'm not prepared to call Frankie Sharp the final boss.
Yeah, right.
So I don't like to do that. I hate that. He doesn't have any henchmen. Who's he got? He got nobody.
He's got a 1.
Gotta give him a 1. Sorry.
Man, I thought he was going to balance it out. So for the record, Benjamin had a 2 for his plan and a 1 for his henchman because he had, I think, what was it? Kurt Fuller was his henchman,
Kurt
and he turned
Fuller,
on him.
Yeah,
in
it's
the
like
end.
a negative. It's like a negative henchman. That guy.
Because he was a friend.
Yeah.
So I thought Bobby was going to bring the heat here because I feel like he was tough, but he didn't. It's the style, the hideout, and the henchman. Now the hideout is not his fault.
Maybe he has a sweet apartment.
He probably has a better apartment than Benjamin.
We needed a scene. We didn't get it. So
he probably has a better apartment than Benjamin. I'll say that, but because he probably lives in L.A., right?
Yeah, right.
So for the record, he got an 8. 1 for one for look and style, 1 for hideout layer, 5 for plan, and 1 for henchman. So not very great here.
Bottom half for sure. Maybe bottom third.
Yeah, definitely bottom third. I recently edited this spreadsheet. I'm about ready to publish it. I keep talking about this for 35 episodes now, but I'm almost there. But Benjamin had an 11, just so everybody knows. So anyway, I'm glad we did that. We can get it out of the way. Let's talk about Waynestock. Let's talk about Waynestock.
Waynestock.
You can't talk about Waynestock without talking about Del Preston. And we mentioned in the beginning, that guy Hall of Fame. I mean, it's not even close. He might be the That Guy award now instead of whatever we named it before. Is Del Preston up there with like Sandy Lyle in the That Guy performances? Like I can't think of a better one.
Like Bill Paxton from True Lies, like that era, that level of side character.
Yeah.
Just a quote machine. There's not much to say about him other than he's the best part of the movie, and I love him to death. And like I said, I want that prequel where we see him break into that sweet shop. Where he has to beat the owner and the sons to death with their own shoes.
What's your take on Waynestock in general? Like, how do you feel about this festival?
Is it Fyre Fest before Fyre Fest?
It is.
Is that what it is? This is exactly Fyre Fest, really.
I mean,
except they got to manipulate the ending to happy.
They got to manipulate. That's one, because I'm not even sure that this movie even existed or it happened in life. Like, it's all in Wayne's head if you really think about it. But it is a Fyre Fest because they just manifested a festival out of nothing. And think about this, right? This is like if you and I, like, we're into movies, right? Yeah. Let's say we just decide we're going to do a movie festival in our hometown here in Pennsylvania and say, you know what? Hey, if we book it, they'll come. Yeah. If we book it, they'll come. Mm-hmm. Let's see if we can get Robert Downey Jr.,
Yeah, Spielberg's coming. Yeah.
Make a few calls. But think about it. You took people's money and then you think that it's going to happen. Although I guess it's different than Fyre Fest because they didn't pay up front. Well, I guess they did.
They paid $5,000 in permits.
They did in the permits.
But then, you know what? I'm surprised the stage looked as good as it did.
It did. It looked pretty
They built
good.
the stage.
That was all Del Preston.
That was all Del. Including the machine guns.
Yeah, they needed him for that specifically, and that's why it wasn't a total farce. But like, what are they charging for tickets to this? Did they say? Because at Comrades, it was like a donation for the permit, but they said they had 10,000 tickets available on the radio.
Yeah, but like, is it a festival if it's just one day? I feel like it's just a concert.
I guess it could be. Well. Yeah, I guess it's an all-day concert. Like, what constitutes a festival? Does it have to be a multi-day event? I guess it does. Or multiple stages. If it's multiple stages but one day, do you still consider that a festival?
Yeah, I guess the multiple stages. Yeah, I guess you could call that a festival. I suppose.
But if it's one stage in one day, it's a concert.
That's a concert. Yeah, I don't care if you have 6 all headlining bands: Pearl Jam, Aerosmith, Van Halen, Crucial Taunt. It's a concert.
Yeah, so you either need multiple stages or multiple days.
Yeah,
either one is not a festival.
Let me ask you this: in defense of Wayne, right? Is Crucial Taunt opening for Aerosmith a better publicity act than like being on Leno, for example, or getting into Frankie Sharp's office?
I think being on Leno is the multiple because you're on national TV.
Yeah.
But getting to Frankie Sharp's office, maybe more than that. But opening for Aerosmith in your hometown, it's a thing. But like nobody outside of the people at that festival or concert
maybe
really
it won't travel.
And
yeah,
it's not going to travel as well as being on Leno. But it's still a good thing. Like it's a good thing that she could do and the band could do. But
remember when Woodstock '99 was on pay-per-view?
Yeah,
that was awesome. And imagine like this could have been on pay-per-view,
man.
And then everyone ordered it. Imagine ordering it, and then all you get is shots of the crowd and no band, and you're just sitting there waiting.
I will say, if you guys have not watched the Woodstock '99 documentary on HBO, you need to watch that. It's perfect. They try
to pin all that shit on my boy Fred Durst. They failed. They tried and they failed to pin it on Fred Durst. Screw that.
It was pretty funny how there was like clearly an agenda with parts of it, and you could tell that they were like, "Oh, but he said this and they did that," and like, meanwhile, there's no water. It's 1 billion degrees.
There was a riot.
Terrible.
There was a riot because everyone was dehydrated and thirsty and tired.
So, put yourself. Have you gone to a festival? Like, have you been to what's the longest concert you've been to?
I tried to avoid them. I went to Bamboozle.
Was that a festival?
Back in the Asbury Park, New Jersey, which is like I don't know, I guess I'd call it a pop punk festival.
Yeah.
But just one day. It was like a 2 or 3 day event, and we just went Saturday. But it's like multiple stages, multiple venues, all that stuff. That's 1 day's enough for me. Like I don't like being around that many people.
Yeah, I can't do the multiple day thing, and I think about Woodstock '99. I mean, that's like hell to me. Like that, if you want me to picture hell, that's what that is. And I like going to concerts. I like music and shows and stuff. But when you factor in like the heat, all that other stuff, a friend of mine went to, I forgot what it was. It was more of like an EDM thing. And he got stuck in like mud because it was like a downpour. Nobody could get their cars out. It's like a camping thing. Yeah. I like camping, but not around like 10,000 people. It's just not for me. Like you'll never see me at Burning Man. I'll never do that. I mean, it's cool. I like the idea of it, but I would never do it. And I'm thinking about Wayne, like trying to plan this thing. Like, how do you even go about this? Like, he didn't know the first thing about this. And how did they even get word out? Like, he goes on Handsome Dan. I mean, that's a local radio station.
Yeah.
That's not that much publicity. Like, what happens if these guys don't show up? Like, what happens?
It's all about the dream. Everyone, including everyone who bought a ticket, I feel had the Jim Morrison dream.
That's true. That is true.
And then it's like everyone has the dream. Everyone who, Del Preston's there because he had the dream. Rip Taylor had the dream. Aerosmith had the dream. That's why they're all there. You think Van Halen had the dream?
I don't think so. I don't think they did. It was only Aerosmith that we saw.
Yeah.
Who showed up at the end though? They had a couple other bands getting out of the limo. I didn't recognize.
I couldn't pin them. I don't even know if it's a real band. I wonder if they're just guys.
I meant to look it up in the credits.
It definitely wasn't. It wasn't Pearl Jam, and it certainly wasn't Van Halen.
I wasn't sure who it was, and I just didn't pay it. I was getting kind of falling asleep by that point, but I didn't see it. But
I don't think they were anybody.
What did everybody? Did everybody in the dreams have the naked Native American guy in the dream too, or was that only Wayne was his like spirit guide?
No, everyone had the weird naked Indian, and they all thought it was a bit unnecessary. To show the buck rack, which I agree. Dude,
could you imagine wearing that thing? Like, I don't know. Would you rather have the front or the back covered?
The front. Of course. But, yeah.
Was it a loincloth or was it like an underwear piece?
I don't know. I think it's like traditional Native American garb. I don't know.
They had their butts out? I didn't think
maybe. I don't know. Is it? Would it be so hard to have a flap for the back too? I guess
I
you're
think
asking.
they do have a flap for the back.
Let's have a flap for the back. It's not that hard to make a flap for the back. Let's have one.
I think they do have the flap for the back. I didn't.
Yeah. That's why that's for the joke. Was it a tad unnecessary to see the crack of the Indian's butt?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it is unnecessary.
Especially when the guy's walking up the hill. It's like you can basically see past it. It's like I don't need to see that.
Well, if he even spreads his legs a little bit, you're gonna see drooping balls.
Yeah, I know exactly.
So.
Well, that's why I wasn't sure if there was like a pouch, like the modesty pouch that
there
Mel
could
Gibson
be a pouch.
Mel
we
Gibson
don't know
had
what's
the
going
modesty
on.
Pouch.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on in like behind the flap in the front. There could be a ball holder. Like now, this could be too much analysis of the naked Indian, but I didn't look close enough. Was there like a thong situation? Was there like
there was a string.
Was there a string up his butt,
like
or was it bare? Or was it bare?
It seemed as if there was a string.
If there was a string
staring.
If there was a string up his butt, then he definitely has like a ball cup holder.
Unless the string just goes off. One string.
He has a twig and berries holder for sure.
The string expands.
Yeah.
Because you can not have that. So I don't know. I mean, look, we can talk about Waynestock for another hour. I don't know that it's even worth it. It was
it's like remember this, remember that. It's funny.
What about the Kim Basinger storyline? Because I want to give Garth some due here. Like it's all about Wayne, but talk about Garth. Was she into him and it turned into I want you to kill my husband
a
thing?
Melrose Place episode?
Yeah, or was it she always wanted him to kill the husband and that's the only reason why she went after him?
Yeah,
I feel like she was attracted to him. I don't know.
No, I think it was a Melrose Place situation where she was trying to lure him in with her feminine wares to get him to kill the husband. As soon as he killed the husband, she would have been gone.
Yeah, I thought it was funny too. Yeah. The size of that gun was like
that's a big gun.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't like a little pea shooter.
Yeah.
Like he pulls out like a Desert Eagle.
Yep. No, he's a little man, but
that's
still
a huge gun, man.
It's still a big gun.
And she just gets it from her purse. I thought that was funny. I like that they met in the laundromat. I thought the interactions were great, and I thought she was good in this, and I thought she was really good in this. So I don't know if that relationship ever could have worked, but
no, she as soon as he killed her husband, she would have been.
You
gone.
think she'd have been gone,
or possibly like got him arrested for it? You know, get her cleared,
get her off,
get herself cleared. Yeah,
it's a basic instinct kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah.
What about the arranged marriage with Bobby? So I mentioned this before, and I think about him not necessarily creeping on Cassandra. Like he was, but he wasn't. But her dad was the one that brought this marriage together. Yeah. So was it like a necessary thing?
Yeah, well, she mentions that she needs a green card, right? And that's like a throwaway line or whatever. But then Wayne and the dad have the fight, and like you think Wayne's worthy, and he is worthy because he wins the fight, which great scene also, by the way. But Bobby's got that LA money though.
He does, and for a traditional father like that, he's all about that.
You know where Bobby lives? I bet the condo that's like on stilts from Lethal Weapon 2.
Oh yeah, the one
that's probably the house, the type of house he lives in. I bet that's the type of house Bobby House lives in.
Yeah.
So her dad sees that and just listen. You got to marry this guy.
Yeah,
either that or you're going home because they're going to force you out. So like,
I mean,
got to make a business decision. It's all about business decisions here.
We could talk about arranged marriages and the creepiness of them, but like I won't even get into that. But it's a creepy situation. It's also he's essentially her boss too. It's like a weird thing.
He doesn't want to marry her. Like,
I don't think he wanted to. Like he didn't want to marry her. He might have wanted to sleep with her.
He wants to hook up with her, but
yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Ridiculous plot to tidy up the movie, but I enjoy it.
But in order to get there, and this is maybe the more controversial thing that we could talk about in this movie, and amongst many other controversial things.
Oh,
do you think that guy was that bad of an actor?
Yes,
I didn't think he was that bad.
It's a small part, but they could do better.
I know we say that every time. Yeah. I think we even have a Wayne Campbell Award named after that, by the way.
The Charlton Heston. I know it's a small part, but we can do better than that award.
Yeah, the Wayne Campbell Can't We Get Someone Better Mail It In Award, which I think a lot of people won that one over the years on the Last Row podcast. But What was bad about this guy to you?
First of all, he missed his cue.
What did he
Wayne
miss,
had to
though?
repeat Gordon Street, like he missed his cue. And then he started rushing through the story. I didn't believe it in his eyes. And honestly, and I'm not even joking, I swear to God. Heston comes on the screen and you believe him immediately.
From his
And
body
it's
language?
the difference between an actor and a great actor. It's so
Okay.
obvious between the two guys. Now, I'm not bashing the first guy because he's acting poorly on purpose.
I was just going to say he's acting great because he's acting
Yeah.
poorly.
Right. But like when Heston's telling the story, it's like it's the most ridiculous thing. But he's so good. It's like you feel emotion. That's what a great actor is.
I was just cracking up because like Wayne's in a hurry, like the guy, Gordon Street, and then he rushes through it because like Wayne's trying to get him out of there. And I get it. The point of Heston is to slow him down. And I agree with you, but I didn't think he was terrible. Like I didn't think he was like, oh, this guy's so bad. But Heston was great. He was great.
Yeah.
It was captivating is the way you could say it.
Like it was no joke. It was a great visual of great acting versus regular acting.
I agree with you. And I don't know. I think like Heston comes on, it's a great moment, and it's again another classic 90s scene. And that's what's great about these movies. They leave you funny. They leave you remembering these things throughout, 30 years later, you're still talking about these things. But the last thing I'll say about the wedding with them before we talk about sort of the Waynestock ending is, Wayne obviously leaves Waynestock to go break up this marriage. How quickly can you even arrange a marriage? I mean, this wasn't like we eloped to the courthouse. I mean, they had a full on wedding in a church and everything. How much time even passed? Like, how quickly can you plan a wedding like that? Her dad must have had it on speed dial. He's just trying to find the right guy.
About as quickly as you can plan a festival.
Yeah, that's true.
Illinois.
The parallels to that. What about Garth trying to run this festival by himself? I mean, he couldn't even run the episode of the show by himself. Imagine him. I mean, they need the machine guns.
I question Wayne's ability to run the concert by himself.
He needs Preston.
Let alone Garth. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Somehow it was successful. And look, they had the foresight and the ability to just write whatever ending they wanted, just like the first one. And that's why you can't take this movie seriously. It's just a collection of scenes and skits, and it may not have even actually happened. It could be all in Wayne's head, really, if you think about it.
To end it on something completely unnecessary and nothing to do with anything, the thing I take away the most from this movie is how jealous I am that the Mirthmobile has a soda stream built in.
Like the bartender thing?
Yeah, I just want that. Imagine you're driving along and you just want a quick spritz of a cold Coca-Cola. Boom.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I could go for a little bit of Sprite ginger ale. Boom.
Man. Imagine if you had that even in your house. Just forget your car. Just in your house. It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I want that. That is
jealous.
Good.
Jealous.
So maybe we can leave this where we started. What's a better movie, and which one did you enjoy more now that we've talked about this? Full circle.
Well, yeah, Wayne's World 1, no doubt.
Better movie? If you're going to pop one in, which one are you watching?
Wayne's World 2.
You are?
Yep.
Because 1 is a commitment. 2 is like, oh, you just put it on and watch it.
Yep. I didn't even think about that. It's blurted out of my mouth, and it's the truth.
Yeah, I agree with you.
1 is better. I have rewatched 2 more, and I would go back to it again before I go back to 1.
I agree with you. I had a great time watching this one, and like you said before, it's really hard to do these because it's a collection of scenes, but I really did enjoy this movie, and I'm glad that we watched it. I know we were sort of debating what was going to be on the list here for the sequels, but I'm glad this one was on it, and I hadn't seen this in at least a few years. I hadn't rewatched it in a while, but it was just as fun as I remembered when I did it.
Listen, it's not as good, obviously, but like I said, with Ghostbusters 2, Turtles 2, Home Alone 2, sequels around this time between like 89 and 94, we know the movie's not as good. The actors will tell you that, oh, this movie stinks. We didn't enjoy ourselves, or we rushed it, or whatever. But what are you supposed to do with goofy comedies like these? It's more of the same. Like Ace Ventura 2 is another one, right? It's more of the same. The story doesn't matter. We just want to see the characters be in situations. So I don't need to have a coherent story. It doesn't matter to me. Just give me funny. Give me funny, and this movie gave me funny. Yeah. And I appreciate it. And I know like Dana Carvey and Mike Myers hate this movie. That's fine. I totally get it. I mean, they're professionals and they're perfectionists of comedy, I'm sure, and they look at this as a missed opportunity, I'm sure. But to me, having seen this when I was 9 or 10 years old, stuck with me, 30 years later, still funny to me. Super happy that they made it. Thank you for making it.
There's no better way to end the episode than by that. I mean, I think you just wrapped it up pretty nicely. So
yes,
I'm curious what you guys think of this one. Did you watch it when you were growing up? And I talked to somebody at work about this today who's younger, and I said to him, I'm not sure that you would get all the pop culture references because it is a product of its time. And if you watch it now, not knowing things from the 90s, because it parodies stuff even beyond that, like the Jurassic Park scene, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen this before, would it hold up today? I don't know. I'd be curious what everybody thinks. So send us an email, thelastrowpodcast@gmail.com. Leave a comment on the episodes page, thelastrowpodcast.com. Tweet at us or X us, whatever the hell it's called these days, at The Last Row Pod, and on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you get your social media channels. And make sure you hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you're enjoying the show, please hit the like button on YouTube, subscribe to us on YouTube, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with Final Destination 2 on September 12th, which I think I've seen. And then we close out the summer of sequels on September 26th with the one that started it all, the sequel to Crank. So Crank High Voltage on the 26th. So we're looking forward to seeing those and talking to you guys in 2 weeks.
See you.
Are you sad that you didn't get Wayne and the Tidy Whities again on this one? With his balls hanging?
I'm very appreciative. Very.
You had Native American butt crack instead.
Didn't need that. I'll take the butt crack.
And his balls hanging in the white sack.
I'll take a naked